Hey guys, welcome to the channel. As you see in the thumbnail, what if Luffy was sin of greed and get massive harem? Before I start, please do support for more awesome content and subscribe my channel and like this video. Go support and follow the RADIODEMON 264 for writing that awesome fanfic, and also make sure to comment on this story, link in the description. Old Roger, the king of the pirates, had achieved everything. Wealth, fame, and power had all been his. Not surprisingly, the final words he spoke before they decapitated him inspired adventurers throughout the world to sail the seas. Old Roger, my treasure, why it's right where I left it. It's yours if you can find it, but you'll have to search the whole world. Shunk. The world is about to witness a great era of piracy. Years later, a small harbor village. Luffy. Wow, what a great story, Shanks, take me on your next adventure, I want to be a pirate too, exclaimed the little raven-haired boy. Shanks. Hahaha, you're still a kid, Luffy, besides you're not strong enough. Luffy. I am strong, my punches are like pistols. Yelled the little Luffy while punching the air. Shanks. Then, put your money where your mouth is, Luffy, punch me as hard as you can in my face, if you manage to move me from my spot, I will think about bringing you on my next adventure. Said Shanks while showing Luffy his cheek. Luffy. Alright, here goes. Luffy wound up his fist and concentrated all his energy into his fist subconsciously and hit Shanks with all he got, resulting in Shanks flying through the wall and onto the street. Shanks' crew jaw dropped and stared at Luffy awestruck. Shanks and his crew realized what Luffy had done. Luffy managed to use haki, this left the red-haired pirate speechless. The best reaction of all was Luffy's face. He was awestruck and kept switching glances between his fist and the hole in the wall which was caused by him. The only words he could muster out were "whoa." Shanks got up after recovering from the surprise attack and walked to Luffy. Shanks walked up to Luffy and just casually sat down beside him. Before he got back to eating, he just casually asked this. Shanks. Nice punch, where'd you learn to do that? Still shocked, Luffy finally gained his composure and answered Shanks with a rather surprising answer. Luffy. I don't know, I think I just focused my energy and emotions into my fist and just punched you. Said Luffy with a stuttering voice. Shanks immediately realized that what Luffy had used was the Busoshoku haki. Shanks was about to say something, but was cut off by the bar doors slamming open, revealing a group of men in rags. Haguma. So these are the group of pirates I've been hearing about in town, they look like nothing but a bunch of pansies. Said the apparent leader of the group of men. Makino. What can I get for you today? Makino asked, not seeming to be intimidated by the men. Haguma, we are bandits, we didn't come here to trash your bar, all we want are about barrels of sake. Please. Shanks. Well, I'm sorry, but it looks like me and my crew have drunk this bar dry, I still have this bottle of rum that hasn't been opened if you would like it. Said Shanks while offering the bottle to the bandit. The bandit looked at Shanks with a dirty look. He was not very pleased to hear that this group of low-life pirates had taken the sake that they wanted. The bandit reached for the bottle that Shanks offered him, and instead of taking it he smashed it, which spilled all over Shanks and the floor. Haguma. I am a wanted man worth million Beely, don't take me lightly. Shanks' emotion was covered by his eyes. A few seconds had gone by and by this time everyone was waiting for his reaction. After a few seconds which felt like hours, Shanks replied. Shanks, just great. Now the floor is wet, sorry about that, Makino. Luffy was clearly upset and was shaking angrily at his friend being mistreated. Trying not to blurt anything out, he was clenching his teeth and just giving the meanest stare he could to the bandit, which was oddly cute coming from the little boy. He decided to calm his nerves by eating a fruit that was beside him in a chest. The bandit drew his sword and slashed at the counter, shattering plates and sending Shanks to the floor. At this point Luffy was about to snap and attack the bandit with every fiber of his being, but was unable to as the bandit already left. Luffy was now focused on the red-haired captain lying on the ground with his straw hat covering his eyes. Just when Luffy was about to say something, Shanks snickered and then the whole bar burst into a laughing fit. Luffy's mind just snapped and yelled at the crew. Luffy was unaware of the power he had just released and looked up to the crew, some were on the ground unconscious and the others were sweating violently. However, most of the crew seemed unfazed. The mood became all tense, however completely oblivious to what he did, Luffy continued yelling at the crew. Luffy. That was so uncool, no matter how many there are you shouldn't be afraid of them and fight back, otherwise you can't call yourselves pirates. Shanks, Luffy. He just spilled some booze on me, it's nothing to get worked up over, but more importantly, do you realize what you just did? Luffy looked around the room and noticed the unconscious and sweaty bodies around the bar. He was in complete shock after hearing that he had done that. Shanks. Luffy, that was the Hashoku haki, only 1 in a million people are said to have that power. Luffy. Whoa, cool. Shanks. Hahaha, but you're still a kid so you won't know how to control that power, and it's not like you could if you were an adult anyways, said Shanks jokingly to Luffy. Luffy. Shut up. Luffy punched Shanks again with the same force as the last punch, but this time his arms started to stretch, shocking everyone to no end. Everyone? What? Luffy? What's wrong with me? Pirate. It's not here, the gum fruit we took from that enemy ship. Luckiru. Luffy, you didn't eat this fruit, did you? The fat man showed Luffy a picture of a purple fruit with swirls engraved into it. Luffy, yeah. I ate it for dessert, it didn't taste all that great though. Shanks. Luffy, you just ate the gum fruit, it's also known as one of the devil fruits. Your body is now rubber, however, you can no longer swim. Luffy. Cool, this just means I became stronger, shishy. Shanks. Dummy, you still haven't learned to control your power yet, for all you know you could be weaker now. Luffy. What shit? Shanks. You idiot. Time skip. Makino is running around town trying to find the mayor. Luffy had gotten into a fight with the bandits from yesterday because he was defending Shanks' honor. The bandits had insulted Shanks when he wasn't even there to defend himself, so Luffy stood up for him and told the bandits to take back what they said. Makino. Mayor, we've got a problem. Mayor. What's wrong, Makino? Makino. It's Luffy and the mountain bandits. With Luffy. Luffy. Bastard, I'll show you not to make fun of Shanks, Luffy exclaimed while having a foot pressed onto his face. Haguma. Oh, and how are you going to do that, kid? You can barely defend yourself, let alone kick my ass. Luffy. Shut up, my punches are stronger than a pistol, I can kick your ass any day. Haguma. Oh, really? Tell you what, kid, I'll let you have one free punch. The bandit leader was showing his cheek to Luffy while releasing the weight from his foot to free Luffy. Luffy. Great, you're going to regret ever fighting me. Haguma. Yeah, okay, like I'd regret fighting, why? But he was cut off by a haki-infused punch from Luffy and was sent flying back a couple dozen feet, but what after that punch, Luffy had a purple aura surrounding him and he felt way stronger. Luffy, what is this, what's this stuff all over me, and why do I feel so powerful? After he recovered from the punch, he walked up to Luffy and gave him a death glare. Luffy turned to him and simply glared back. The two started walking towards each other until they went into a full sprint, their fists collided, and Luffy's aura became even more visible, while Haguma was struggling so much that his legs were shaking. Eventually his arm broke due to the pressure of Luffy's punch, and he was sent into the ground. The bandits and Shanks' crew who had just arrived were completely shocked, but they soon got over it and started to clobber the bandits and left the leader for their captain. However, this was to be a mistake. The moment they stopped their assault, the bandit leader grabbed Luffy and threw a smoke bomb down and escaped. Shanks. Crap, he took Luffy, what are we going to do? Shanks exclaimed, worried for his friend. With Haguma. Haguma. Haha, stupid kid, let's see how you like becoming a Sea King snack. Your pirate friends won't be able to find us so you won't get saved. Luffy. Let me go, you stupid smelly bandit. As Haguma dropped Luffy, a Sea King the size of a ship appeared. Haguma gave out a terrifying scream before being eaten by the monster. The Sea King was now staring at him with hungry eyes. Luffy was extremely scared and freaked out, that is until a light bulb went off in his head. Luffy's mind. Maybe I can do the same thing I did with that mountain bandit. And so he outstretched his hand and he once again gained a purple aura, causing the Sea King to shake and quiver. Luffy. Blair's leave. The Sea King stared at him in fear before swimming away. Shanks then appeared on a boat and picked him up before he drowned. Shanks. I almost thought I'd lost you there. You're really something, Luffy, doing things most people couldn't even hope of doing. Luffy was crying hysterically while in Shanks' embrace and was extremely glad to be alive and well. Later that evening, Shanks and his crew were getting ready to leave, stocking up on supplies, food and water for their return trip to the Grand Line. Luffy was saying his last goodbyes to his friends. Luffy. Hey Shanks, I've decided not to ask to come on adventures with you anymore, I'm going to make my own crew and go out to sea myself. Exclaimed the little boy with a happy expression. Shanks stuck his tongue out and jokingly said. Shanks. Like I'd take you anyways, you're still too weak and still a kid. Luffy was now angry and just yelled. Luffy. I'll become stronger than you, I'll find my own crew that's better than yours, and I'll find the greatest treasure in the world and become Pirate King. Shanks. Oh. Then I guess you'll need this to help you. Shanks said while putting his most treasured straw hat onto Luffy's head. Luffy was now crying under the shadow of the straw hat. He didn't want Shanks to go, he was one of the only friends he had, and there would always be a void in his heart until they reunited. Shanks. Do me a favor, keep this hat safe for me, this hat means a lot to me, promise that you'll give it back to me someday when you've become a great pirate. Luffy was speechless, he then started to bawl his eyes out as Shanks walked off. Ekman. That kid's gonna make something of himself. Shanks. Yeah, he acts just like I did when I was a kid, I have no reason to be worried, weigh the anchor, raise the sails, we're off to the tide. Everyone from the town was reunited at the harbor to see those pirates, who have been here for a whole year, set sail and disappear into the blue immensity of the ocean. A year has gone by since Shanks left, and ever since then Luffy has been training his abilities. He now has decent control over ornament haki, observation haki, and conqueror's haki, thanks to the large amounts of huge and dangerous animals. He's also made new moves with the Gum Gum fruit. Gum Gum pistol, Gum Gum bazooka, Gum Gum gatling, and Gum Gum rocket. Lastly, he's decided to call his ability Snatch, since he has discovered that he can rob physical objects and the abilities of anyone. He's also made the shocking discovery that he can heal incredibly fast, since the injuries literally steam off of him. Now his grandfather, Vice Admiral of the Marines Garp the hero, is taking him up the mountain by the back of his shirt. Luffy. Hey grandpa, where are we going? Garp. Your new home, you're going to live with mountain bandits from now on. Luffy. What, but I don't like mountain bandits. Garp. Well, from now on you are going to live with them, I have to train you to be a strong marine. Luffy. I already told you I don't want to be a marine, I want to be a pirate. Garp. That red-haired pirate has really affected you badly, you will become a marine. Screamed Garp, punching Luffy with his fist of love. Luffy moved to the side, dodging it. Luffy. Angry tone, don't talk bad about Shanks. Garp was honestly surprised that he dodged his punch but was slightly proud as well. Garp. How did you do that? Luffy. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, I have something called haki according to Shanks, so I can cover my arms and legs with this black stuff, dodge attacks, and knock people out by just looking at them. Now Garp was really surprised and couldn't be prouder, but he didn't have time to show it since they just arrived at Dayton's headquarters. He let go of Luffy, who started to run around and started to knock continuously until the door opened, and the one who opened it was a rather tall and overweight middle-aged woman with long orange curly hair and a big masculine face. She was seen smoking a cigarette and wore a white collar shirt, a pink beaded necklace, checkered trousers held up with a large belt, and heeled boots. Aiden. Stop it, whoever you are, do you want to get killed? Garp. Glares, it's me. She immediately stopped yelling and gained a surprised face before screaming and stumbling back. Aiden. Gee Garp. As she said this, two more mountain bandits appeared from behind a curtain who was just as shocked as she was. Their names were Dogra and Magra. Garp. You're looking good. Aiden. Give me a break please, you gotta have mercy on me, Ace is years old now. Garp. Oh yeah, already, how is he? Laughs. Dogra. It's not funny, we can't handle him anymore, you have to take him. Magra. Putting that aside. Dogra. Don't put that aside. Aiden had finally had enough of Luffy's running and yelled at him. Aiden. You're annoying, kid. Garp then picked the boy up. Garp. Look after him, too. Aiden. Hey. Garp. Hey, Luffy, say hi to them. Luffy. Raise his hand, yo. Magra. Who is that kid? Garp. He is my grandson. This is when their faces showed nothing but pure shock. All three. Wait-eyed. Dogra. One more. Aiden. He's Garp's grandson. All. We can't. The three bandits were all on their knees as Garp loomed over them with his arms crossed. Garp. Alright then, here's your choice, do you want to spend all your life in prison or raise him? There are many crimes you committed that I've overlooked. Luffy. Wow, what a crappy shack. Aiden then lunged at Luffy. Aiden. You wanna fight? Luffy. Let's go then, you old hag, grins evilly. This caused Aiden to sweat before looking away. Aiden. You know what, it wouldn't really be any fun beating a weakling like yourself to a pulp, so consider yourself lucky that I'm feeling generous. Luffy. Sounds to me like you're just scared, runs off. As he starts to run, Luffy gets hit in the face with spit and notices Ace in the corner of his eye. This boy was sitting atop of an animal that he just caught and was staring daggers at the boy. Luffy. What the hell was that for? Garp then spoke up. Garp. Oh, that's Ace, he's 3 years older than you and you will be living with him from now on. Luffy was annoyed by this, but he ultimately had no choice, so he gets settled in as everyone then goes in to eat as Garp leaves, but Luffy notices that all he has to eat is some rice and a cup of water, while everyone else is eating the meat that Ace brought. Luffy. Hey old lady, how come you guys got all the meat while I only have this? Aiden. Well, you damn brat, just like Ace here, you'll have to get your own food. The only thing I'm giving you is a bowl of rice and a cup of water a day, and starting tomorrow I'm gonna work you half to death cleaning, laundry, boot and weapon polishing, theft, swindling, and killing. You'll have to do it all, glares, and if you say a word to Garp, I will personally kill you. Of course, you can always leave and die in the forest like an animal, laughs. Luffy had his head down the entire time until he finally lifted it up and smiled. Luffy. Okay. Aiden. Falls, don't be fine with it, you should be crying right now. Luffy. I'm used to this, Grandad actually threw me into the forest once, not to mention the training I've been doing since last year, besides, I'm gonna be a pirate someday, so this is child's play. The bandits started to worry about their boss as Ace just scoffed and walked out with Luffy following him. Luffy. Hey, my name is Luffy, let's be friends. Ace ignored him and walked into the forest. Luffy went after him with bandits behind screaming at him to do his chores. He chased after Ace and Ace just ran faster trying to lose him. Luffy soon came across a bridge with Ace already on the other side. Luffy. Hey, why? He then began to fall. Apparently Ace had cut all the ropes. Luffy. Curse you, parry the platypus. Author. Come on man, stick to the script. Take 2. Luffy. Damn you. Time skip. Luffy had finally woken up, pissed off. Luffy. Damn that cheeky little bastard. He sure pulled one over on us, huh? Luffy. Huh, who said that? Is someone there? The boy looked all over, but it seemed that he was the only one there, that is until a very tall, slouching, muscular man with tan skin, who possesses a set of well-developed abdominal muscles with short, spiky, pale blue hair and thin black eyebrows, and scarlet red eyes and a large scar on the left side of his jaw, and extending down to his neck, appeared in front of him. Luffy. AI ghost. Relax kid, I'm not here to hurt ya, I just wanna talk. Luffy. Who are you? Ban. The name's Ban, the Foxen of Greed, and you Monkey D. Luffy are my successor. Luffy. What do you mean by that? Ban. So you know how you gain a purple aura around you and suddenly feel stronger, or when you pull something towards you with the smallest movement of your pinky finger? Luffy. You mean snatch. Ban. Figures you would name it that, seeing as I gave you the idea. Luffy. What do you mean? Ban. Sigh, well, to put it simply, me and my friends had to sacrifice our very lives to put a really strong monster away for good, but somehow our souls were sent to different people in faraway places, and now you're stuck with me and my powers. Luffy. Wow, cool. Ban. Huh, you're taking this better than I expected kid, now remember when you stabbed your eye with that knife last year? Luffy. Yeah, when touches left eye the scar, it's gone. Ban. Yup, wanna know why? Because like I was, you are immortal, meaning you can't die or grow old, you'll stay young forever. Luffy then got scared by this. Luffy. So I'm gonna be a kid forever. Ban. What? No, in order to have full control over your incredible strength you do need to grow, but you'll stop aging once you reach. Luffy. Phew, well that's a relief. But then the two hear growling. Ban. Look out. As soon as he said that, Luffy had to dodge a huge paw. This paw belonged to one of the biggest creatures in the forest, the albino tiger. Just to show you what one looked like. But as Luffy rolled up and off the ground he feels weird on his left side. Ban. Ooh, kid, you might wanna look to your left. Luffy did exactly that and found nothing out of the ordinary. Minus the fact that he has no arm. Luffy. My arm is gone. The tiger then started charging at him, so he ran away, still trying to bear with the pain. He's trying his best to get away, but this tiger is unlike any animal he's ever fought. It was tearing through the trees like paper, all to get this one child. It was then that steam started to protrude off of Luffy's left side. He looked to it to see his arm is starting to regrow itself, his muscles were reforming, and his bones were being put back into place. His arm had now completely grown back. Luffy. Raises left arm. Wua. Ban. I told you, kid, you're immortal now, any injury that you take will instantly heal. Luffy gains a bold smile. Is that so? Luffy immediately stopped and used observation to dodge the tiger's paw perfectly. As the tiger is now looming over him, Luffy gains a very sadistic look, jumps above the animal, and raises his arm. Luffy. Physical hunt. He once again gained a purple aura and became buff as he stole the tiger's strength before jumping onto its back and put all of his strength into one punch. As it connected he could feel the beast's spine crack and snap. The giant animal whimpers as it falls down, completely paralyzed. Luffy jumped off and landed in front of the tiger growls at him, but Luffy spoke in a calm but authoritative tone. Luffy. Shut up. He then punched its snout, causing its skull to shatter and its eyes to pop out of their sockets, killing it in just 2 blows. He stood up straight, proud of his work. Ban. Comparing the power level of this tiger to the other animals on this island, this one is one of the most powerful animals here, congrats. Luffy gained a shocked look before smiling, even more, proud of what he had done. Ban. Now Luffy, I have sat back in your mind as I watched you train your abilities, but when it comes to snatch, as of right now you're still too weak, so I want to train you to unlock its full potential. Now I won't lie to you, it's gonna be hell on earth, but I know what your dream is, so do you accept? Luffy. If I want to become the Pirate King, I have no choice but to endure the toughest of the tough circumstances. Smiles, so I'll do it, yes I accept. Ban. Chuckles, I knew it, now let's start. And so instead of going home, Luffy stayed in the forest to train. He ate the tiger he killed and buried his bones. He then thanked the tiger for a good fight and a good meal. After that he started training his body and his abilities. The more dangerous creatures he fought, the more he learned about snatch. This went on for the entire week and the results were amazing. His muscles became 4 times as dense and gained twice as much mass, slowly but surely looking more like Ban. He also started to experiment with physical hunt and found out that unlike Ban, who had a limit to how much he could steal, Luffy had no limit thanks to the elasticity of his body, and thanks to this, he came up with many more moves as well as something called gears. Right now he had 3, gear 2nd, gear 3rd, and gear 4th. Boundman. One night Ban decided to teach Luffy how to cook, and to his surprise, Luffy had already caught on after the first lesson, which made the boar he cooked taste like a star dish. As he was eating, Ban came up to him. Ban. Luffy, Dayton and everyone else will be here soon, so I must go now, but just know that I am so proud of you for how far you've come in such a small amount of time, and so I want to give you this. Ban then handed Luffy a 4-section staff with spikes on the ends. Ban. This is my treasure, Karak House, I want you to have it and be the next Fox in of Greed. Luffy took the weapon and swung it a few times to get a good feel for it, making Ban smile. Ban. I know you'll be able to fulfill your dreams and become king of the pirates. Starts to fade away. See you later, Luffy, I'd wish you luck, but I know you don't need it. Luffy looks down. See you later. Master sheds a tear and smiles. It was then that Dayton, her men, and Ace, who was dragged along, came toward him. Luffy. Oh hey guys. Dayton then walked up to him and punched him on the head. Dayton. Why the hell were you gone for so long? However, due to his vigorous training, Luffy didn't even feel the punch. Luffy. Oh, so now you care if I die or not? Besides, it's only been like a week. Ace. TCH, it's been a month, you idiot. Luffy was surprised by this news, but he just figures that him and Ban were so into the training that they lost track of time. Luffy. Well, I'm done here anyway, so we might as well go home. However, one of the bandits couldn't help but notice the meat roasting. Some of the other also noticed the boar. Aiden. Luffy. Did you make that? Ace's mind. Hold on. This guy seems different than when I last saw him. He clearly got stronger, but he did so too fast. Odd. He was this little whiny kid a few weeks ago, but now. Everyone then surrounded the meat and dug in. They soon realized that this was really good, and honestly too good to be something that a year-old cooked out in the middle of a forest. Everyone was enjoying the food except for Ace for some odd reason, and soon they go home. Time skip. Luffy woke up to see that Ace had already left and was about to go look for him until he noticed Dayton cooking. Luffy. Here, let me help. The woman then looked at him in confusion. Dayton. Did you get taller or am I just seeing things? Luffy looked at himself and smiles. Luffy. I guess I have shishishi. Dayton then let Luffy take care of lunch, seeing as how he did such a good job with last night's meal. When everyone sat down to eat and dug in, they are astounded at how good the food is and can't believe that they have the luxury of eating so good. And as the bandits ate, Luffy left to go look for Ace, using his sense of smell, which is something Ban had taught him how to do. Soon Luffy came across the Bear King and Lion fighting. He just kept walking calmly until both animals noticed the little boy and started attacking him. At least they tried attacking him when Luffy let out a small wave of haki, scaring both animals. They ran away and Luffy just continued walking. Ace was in a tree, confused and shocked at whatever the little boy just did to scare the kings of this forest away. Ace's mind. Just who the hell is this brat? Ace thought before jumping down and going to meet up with a certain top-hatted boy. Soon after meeting up with Sabo, Luffy found them. Luffy. Hey, I heard you guys wanted to become pirates, let's be friends. Luffy then noticed the heaps of treasure around him and his eyes started twinkling. Sabo. Is that the Luffy kid you've been talking about, Ace? Sabo turned to Ace, curious. Luffy. Oh, have you been talking about me, Ace? Ace. Shut up, idiot, we don't want to become your friend. Replied Ace in a cold tone, and before Luffy knew what was going on, Ace and Sabo jumped down from the tree they were standing on and closed in on Luffy. They then tied him up with rope. The boy didn't even resist, wanting to see where this goes. Even though he could easily break through his bonds and beat the shit out of them, he also still wants to be Ace's friend, and maybe even Sabo's too. Sabo. What's your name? Luffy. I'm Monkey D. Luffy. Sabo. Well, I'm Sabo, are you a friend of Ace? Luffy. Hangs his head down. Well, clearly not, but I would like to be. Ace. Shut it, we can't listen to him, he's found out about our secret, let's just kill the brat. Sabo nods his head as Luffy just smiles since he can't die, so hearing that some kids are gonna kill him is hilarious. However, the two boys hear someone familiar and quickly hide as they left Luffy tied up to a tree as the huge first mate of the Blue Jam pirates, Porchammy, rips Luffy off of the tree and holds him and starts shaking him relentlessly. Porchammy. Hey, do you know anyone named Ace? Luffy. Is this someone you're hunting or is he your partner? Porchammy. Do I look like I am in the mood for a chat? Do you know him or do you not? Luffy. Sorry but I don't, I was tied up here by some mountain bandits for stealing their food so. But before he could continue his lie, Porchammy punched him in the face. Porchammy. I didn't ask for your life story, I just want the answer to my question. Besides, I think you're trying to hide something, so I'm taking you to my base for interrogation. The pirate then put Luffy over his shoulder and walked off. Once they were in the clear, Sabo and Ace left their hiding spot and decided to help Luffy. Sabo would quietly follow the two, while Ace hid the treasure. When they got to the base of the Blue Jam pirates, Porchammy tied Luffy up with some rope and hung him by the ceiling. The huge man would then start to torture Luffy while asking him questions. Porchammy even used a hammer, but nothing worked, he didn't have a single scratch or bruise on him. Porchammy. The hell is up with this kid, give me the gloves. A random pirate would then hand Porchammy a set of spiked gloves, to which he starts pounding and punching Luffy with. However, Luffy barely gets a scratch from any of his attacks, and Porchammy sees his cuts quickly heal, only leaving behind a bit of steam. Blue Jam pirate. Boss, this isn't normal, the kid's got to have a devil fruit. Porchammy then smiled at this. Porchammy. Well, if that's the case then we'll just have to beat him even harder, just because he can heal doesn't mean he can't feel pain. And so for a whole hour Luffy would be tortured and interrogated until sunset, and this when Sabo would have gone back to Ace to tell him everything. Ace. Why hasn't he just given them what they want? Sabo, do you think it could be? Because he doesn't want to see us hurt. It was then that Ace became wide-eyed before gaining a look of determination. Ace. Alright, let's go save him. The two then started running towards the base of the Blue Jam pirates. At this point Porchammy is doing everything he can to get answers, but Luffy won't budge. Porchammy. Tell me what you know, kid. Luffy. Off. Although they would never admit it, the Blue Jam pirates had a hint of respect for this kid, but it just makes Porchammy even more infuriated as he goes in for another hit which never landed because Sabo and Ace had just burst in and protected him, which started a huge brawl between them. Unfortunately, Ace gets caught by Porchammy. Sabo tried to save him, but it was all in vain. Luffy then became pissed and said. Luffy. I've had enough of this shit. He then appeared behind Porchammy and grabbed his hand. Luffy, welp, it's been fun but. Applies pressure. He squeezed Porchamy's arm so hard that his skin was being torn apart, exposing his bone. He screamed in pain and drops Ace as he holds on to his destroyed arm and starts bleeding out. Everyone would be shocked, but Luffy wasn't done as he held up the pirate by his hair and starts punching him non-stop out of anger. To Porchammy's face was unrecognizable, but as he was about to punch him again, Luffy felt an arm on his shoulder and to his surprise, it was Ace's. Ace. That's enough, let's just go. Luffy. Okay. Luffy then punched Porchammy one last time, killing him as the three ran off into the night. Soon the three would reach Great Terminal, and Ace gets bandaged up by Sabo as they sit down at a tree, and Sabo popped the question. Sabo. How did you do that? Luffy. Do what? Sabo. I saw you take all that pain like it was nothing. Is your devil fruit power regeneration or are you just sturdy? Luffy. Laughs. No, it's a special ability of mine that I discovered last year, but if you really wanna know, I ate the gum fruit which turned me into rubber. Ace. I still don't know why you didn't snitch though, you didn't have to save me, so why did you? What's your endgame here? What do you want with me? Starts to tear up. Luffy. Tilts head. I just wanna be your friend, I feel like I've said that a lot. Ace was shocked and wide-eyed at the fact that Luffy did all of that just for a friend. Ace's mind. How long has this kid been alone? Luffy. Sure, I've had the people at Fuchsia Village and Makino, but they were never really my friends. All I got is my grandfather, and he's barely around, so starts to cry. All I want is to be your friend, so I don't have to be alone anymore. I hate being alone, I hate the feeling, so Ace, Sabo, can I be your friend? Seeing this kid bawling his eyes out made Ace remember how he was and how he felt before he met Garp, which inspired his final answer. Ace. Yes, from now on we are both your friends, and you will join our group. Smiles. Okay. Luffy just hugged him, still crying, which turned into a group hug with Ace hugging him back and Sabo joining the mix. From then on Luffy became part of their little group and Sabo started to live with the two boys despite Dayton's objections, but like Ace and Luffy, she started to become attached to the boy, and from then on the three would spend each day together, stealing treasure, robbing pirates and stores blind, and just going into town and causing a ruckus. This made the three infamous and also caused Luffy to become a bit of a kleptomaniac, which caused them to become incredibly sneaky and destructive kids. Meanwhile, Luffy stole everything in sight without anyone noticing. One day, as soon as the three boys finished eating, they ran without paying and were soon chased by the authorities. They managed to get away but were surprised when a man yelled out Sabo's name. They continued forwards and ran through Great Terminal, soon returning to their new home. Ace. Who was that man? Ace asked as he noticed Sabo's sour look. Luffy? Yes, Sabo, who was that man? Sabo? Huh, I guess I'll tell you. The blonde muttered. Sabo? That man was my father. Ace? Your father, I thought he was dead. Sabo? I lied, I'm the son of a noble. Ace and Luffy. So? Ace and Luffy replied as they picked their nose. Sabo? At least act surprised, sigh, I'm sorry for lying. Luffy? Smiles, that's fine, as long as you're sorry. Ace? I'm actually shocked, if you're a noble why were you living in the trash heap? Sabo? I hated being a noble, I was so lonely. Ace? Don't worry about that. Ace stated as he walked towards the cliff. Ace? You're not going to be lonely anytime soon. Sabo? I guess. Sabo muttered as he rubbed the back of his head. Ace? I'm going to have my name known all over the world, that's my dream, I'm going to become such a strong pirate my name is known worldwide. Luffy? Is that what we're doing? Luffy asked as he stood next to Ace. Luffy? I'm going to become the Pirate King. Ace? What? Ace muttered in shock. Sabo? Of course. Sabo whispered as he stood next to the boys. Sabo? I'm going to sail the world and write a book about all my findings. Ace? I thought we all sailed together. Ace whispered. Immediately his face lit up. Ace? I know I stole this from Dayton. Ace then grabbed something from behind a tree and placed it on a tree stump. Sabo? You stole sake from Dayton. Ace? Yeah, with this we become brothers. Ace told them as he poured it into 3 saucers. Ace? Let's drink. Time skip. We now see the 3 boys standing in the forest as Luffy tells them about how he has something called haki and how he met Shanks and trained for an entire year. This is when Ace brought up the Bear and Lion King incident, to which Luffy confirmed that that was in fact haki, but he told them that only few people possess that power before demonstrating ornament by punching a tree and observation by dodging a bear that tried to ambush him before being knocked out by conquerors. This is when the boys decided to training together to become strong pirates. Sabo and Ace would attack Luffy with their staffs, only for said boy to punch them so fast they didn't realize it until they felt the pain and were sent into a tree, however they slowly get up. Ace? Jesus, what's with that monster strength? Luffy? Sorry, it's kinda hard for me to hold back, fighting is just so fun, gasp, hey, can I show you guys something, it's a really cool move that I've perfected. The kid was jumping up and down in excitement. The 2 say sure in a very monotone voice because it's Luffy, of course it's gonna be something outrageous. Luffy walks towards a tree as his body becomes pink and he starts to steam as he explodes with heat and pulls his fist back. Luffy, gum gum. Jet pistol. As soon as his fist collided with the bark, the tree snapped in half, with Luffy's arm stretching out even farther than he wanted it to, causing even more trees to be destroyed. He then pulled his arm back and exited out of this incredible form of his. He then turned to his brothers with a grin. Luffy? I call that second gear, what do you guys think? Sabo and Ace were on the ground, wide eyes and slack-jawed. Sabo then started to whisper to Ace. Sabo? Hey, if we don't start getting our asses in gear, this guy's gonna get too strong for us. Ace nodded, and so they got up and attacked Luffy again, who figures that they must have liked the move, and so for a few days they search for ways to get stronger, they spar, they fight monsters, and they even meet an old man who fought Goldie. Roger once who decided to train them for a bit, who told them to fight a large white tiger, but Luffy shot him down, saying that he already killed it, shocking him to no end, so he gives them another task, and then they complete it with ease. Now completing their training, the man sees Luffy has an incredible talent, only found once in like 1,000 years, which would be Conqueror's haki, and they returned back to the forest. But one day when they decided to hang out in Great Terminal after a long training session, they were surrounded on all sides, but a group of pirates, and in front of them was a rather tall man with short hair on the top of his head that is fashioned in a striped manner, while the hair flowed down long and unkempt down his sides. It seemed half of his molars were missing in an alternating pattern, and he wore a traditional captain's jacket over a white shirt. This was the captain of the Blue Jam Pirates, Blue Jam himself, as well as a man with black hair and wearing a top hat with feathers, a flower, and what appears to be a silver-lined band on the hat. He has a thin black mustache and was wearing a suit with a flower on each lapel, with the one on the left having feathers similar to the ones seen on his hat. He also wore an ascot underneath his suit's jacket. This was Sabo's father, Outlook 3. Outlook. It's time to come home, boy. Luffy then walked forward and said in a cold tone. Luffy? And what exactly makes you think we'll just give him back to you? Blue Jam looked at the boy and remembered the description, PF the one who killed Porchammy, and smirked. Blue Jam? So you're the one who took care of that idiot? You know what, I think I'll cut you a deal, forget about these two and join me, and I'll give you treasures beyond your wildest dreams, so what do you say? Ace and Sabo looked at Luffy with worried expressions as Luffy just smirked. Luffy? No, I'd rather rob you blind physical hunt. The strength of Blue Jam, Outlook, and every other pirate there was taken by Luffy, making him incredibly buff before leaping towards Blue Jam, crushing his skull and ripping his head right off of his body, and lands in front of Outlook, who looks down with a scared expression to see Blue Jam's head in Luffy's hand. He then moves back in pure terror. Outlook. D-Devil, you're monster. Luffy. Yeah, well, at least I'm not an abusive. He then gives Outlook a look that would scare even the bravest of men. Outlook stumbled to the ground as Luffy continues to give him the same death stare, even using a bit of Conqueror's haki, causing Outlook to get up and run away, which made Luffy laugh as he, Sabo and Ace start to slaughter the Blue Jam pirates, who were already really weak since they were robbed of their strength, and as Outlook is still running, Sabo starts to yell. Sabo. I am no longer a noble and I am no longer your son. You hear, my name is Monkey D. Sabo, and my family is right here, and if you ever come back I will make sure you die a painful death. After this, the three boys would earn a name for themselves as the Terrible Three, but this was mainly because of Luffy, since it was clear that even though he was the youngest of the group, he was the strongest and the leader, and later that day Outlook tried to capture Sabo, so in a fit of rage, the two would kill him together with Sabo delivering the final blow, which gets Luffy a bounty, but of course, he didn't know that yet, as the boys would start a small revolution, killing and robbing nobles, but only the ones that deserved these kinds of things to happen to them. And if committed any crime in the East Blue that would deem you a special pit of hell to burn in, then you would be found dead or traumatized by the Terrible Three. Time skip. Luffy had just finished preparing some food for everyone and they all starts to dig in, but Dayton notices that one of her guys is missing, but before she could ask he came bursting through the door and he looked really nervous. Dayton. The hell is up with you? Come on, dinner is ready, sit down and eat. Bandit. Boss, you gotta look at these. Aiden, wondering what had gotten her underling so worked up, looked at the 3 sheets that had been handed to her and what was on them made her spit out her food. Luffy. Come on Dayton, don't waste the food, what's the big idea? She then slammed down 3 wanted posters which were for the 3 boys, making them smile in amazement and joy. Ace and Sabo had a bounty of 1,000 Beely, but what shocked everyone was Luffy's bounty, who was wanted for a whopping million. Luffy. Huh, we don't look half bad, smirks. Ace. That's not the point here, Luffy. Sabo. You're going to be hunted or worse, killed. Luffy. Pumps fist, I say bring it on, don't tell me you guys are afraid of a little fight or 2, grins. Ace and Sabo. We're not. Luffy. Heh, thought so. The 3 kids then kept eating, and once they were done they went back to training. However, Dayton was terrified because she knew that all hell was gonna break loose when Garp heard about, and guess who just arrived? The 3 boys were sent to the ground with a fist of love as a huge beast loomed over them with glowing red eyes. Garp. You brats have gone and done it now, especially you Luffy. You and Ace were supposed to stay on the path to become Marines, but Nuo and now look, not even teenagers yet, and you already have bounties, you idiots. At this point the all 3 boys had gotten up as Garp continued to yell at them, but then Ban starts to speak. Ban. Man, this take me back to when me and my friends were framed and hunted by hundreds of knights, ah, good times. Luffy shook his head and smiled. Luffy. Well, if you wanna stop my antics you're just gonna have to capture or kill me, so how about it, pops? Garp then laughed before punching Luffy with nothing but pure bloodlust, and everyone could feel it radiating off of him. Sabo's mind. Luffy was trained by this guy. As Garp's punch reached Luffy's head, Luffy lifted his arm and caught Garp's punch with the ground under him starting to crack as he looks at his grandfather with determination burning in his eyes. Garp. Sigh, at least you know how to handle yourself. He then starts to walk off, but not before telling Ace something. Garp. Ace, look after him, okay, he's a reckless little bastard. Ace nodded and Garp left the island, but not before Sabo promised the same as well, but as he's leaving he winces in pain and notices a mark on his arm. Garp. Damn, that little brat's growing faster than I expected. Time skip. The day Sabo was setting off into the world, Luffy and Ace managed to get a boat for him and were watching him sail away, but this was also the day that a celestial dragon arrives and Sabo accidentally interrupts the welcoming ceremony. He tries to move out of the way, but the celestial had ordered to shoot the boat down, sending Sabo flying off in the boat in flames. Seeing this, Luffy and Ace engulfed in rage. Ace. Kill them, make them suffer, Luffy. He didn't have to tell him twice as everyone was then blown back as Luffy leaped towards the giant ship. Everyone on the island started to panic, but Luffy, you could tell by his stone-cold serious face that he did not care about anything right now, all he cared about was making these bastards pay. Celestial. How dare you set your feet on my ship, peasant. The Celestial then shot him, but it simply bounced off of his body and hit the head of one of the people on the ship, killing them. Luffy. Hunter Fest. The strength of everyone on the ship was drained, and the celestial strength was drained so much that Luffy was able to crush his head like a grape. It was then that Luffy jumped off the ship and into the clouds, and then bit his thumb and blew up his arm. Luffy, gear. Third. He then coated his enlarged arm in haki and pulled it back. Ace. Starts crying do it. Luffy, elephant. Gun. His fist slammed into the ship, completely destroying it and leaving not a single survivor. He then landed on a plank to see that Sabo was still alive and was picked up by a man, he didn't know why, but he felt like he could leave him in their hands and just said. Luffy. We'll meet again Sabo, I know it. And so from then on Luffy and Ace hold on to the hope that Sabo is still alive and train even harder than before, with Ace getting a huge burst in strength and technique, and as for Luffy, his physical strength only gets even better, along with his haki and snatch, now learning to steal people's perception of him and making him invisible. By the time he had experimented with seawater so much that he has become completely immune so sea prism, and since he's immortal, he can still swim and became so strong that he could lift literal tons, and since that incident, his bounty has risen to million Beely and gaining the name Straw Hat Luffy, but people called by many other things, such as Undead Luffy, Luffy the Fox, and the Sin of Greed Luffy due to his numerous abilities. By the time Ace leaves to start his journey, Luffy was considered the boss of the East Blue. People considered this guy to be more powerful than Arlong himself, which isn't that far-fetched. Some people feared him for his power and ruthlessness in battle, others loved him for his friendly and kind nature. The government has sent a lot of people to capture or kill him, but have all ended up dead. Once again, everyone from the town was on the harbor to say goodbye to the new pirates. Makino. Well, he's finally setting out, Mayor, I'll miss that rascal. Mayor. But if he does become a pirate, he'll bring shame to this village. Fishmonger. I never thought he would really do it. At sea. Luffy. Wow, it's a good day to be out at sea. The sea started to get agitated and a familiar monster emerged from the depths of the ocean, but he was bigger than before and had even more scars on him. Luffy. Oh hey there King, you ready to start our adventure? The Sea King just nodded as Luffy pulled out some reins and attached him to the boat. After that the two then swam off at full speeds to find a crew and head to the Grand Line. Captain. Why is there dust on my boardwalk? Pirate, 1,000 pardons, Lady Alvida, I thought I'd cleaned every inch of the ship, I'll clean up everything all over again please. Alvida. Please what? Pirate. Please, not the iron mace, I don't want to die. Alvida. Coby, who is the fairest among all the seas? Coby, ahem. Heh. Why you are, Lady Alvida, no one compares to you. Alvida. Correct, which is why I will not tolerate anything dirty, the ship I sail must be as clean and beautiful as I am, understood? Remember, Coby, was it not for vast knowledge of the seas, knowledge of the seas, I would feed you sharks already, but don't push your luck. Coby, why yes. That's very kind of you. Alvida. Other than that you're worthless here, shine my shoes. Coby. Why yes, Lady Alvida, right away. Pirate, what's that? Coby, did a barrel of rum wash up on the beach? Coby, why yeah, and it's not empty, I wasn't sure what to do with it. Pirate, well I know what to do with it, let's drink it all up. Pirate, but if the captain finds out, she'll have our heads. Pirate, she'll never find out, we're the only ones here, just Coney and the three of us know about this. Pirate, and ain't seen nothing, right Coby? Coby, right I ain't seen nothing, haha. Please don't hit me. However, none of them were prepared for what was actually inside it. With a great big yawn, two outstretched arms, a young year-old with a straw hat burst out of the container and smacked two of the pirates upside the head and launched them about halfway through the roof. The young man opened his drowsy eyes, taking in the environment around him. Luffy? Huh, where am I? He looked from left to right until he realized he was inside a ship. Luffy, must have dozed off. He turned his head again to see both a scared Coby and a shaking pirate. Luffy? Oi, you two know what this place is. Of course the pirate reacted by firing his flintlock pistol at him. The bullet never reached its target as the young man had disappeared. Coby looked around for him until he heard the sound of chains rattling. His head snapped in said direction to see the same young man, but with Karak House held against the pirate's neck. This time, Coby noticed that the young man's demeanor did his straw hat covering his eyes and he had a serious, sadistic expression. Luffy? Now that wasn't very nice, I just wanted to ask where I'm being held in and you go and shoot at me. His voice was calm but laced with a dark tone to it. The pirate was shaking just as much as Coby was, only the pirate had nearly lost control of his bowels. Just nearly. Instead, he just fainted. The young man's expression changed back to confusion as he stared at the unconscious pirate. He shrugged then turned to Coby, who was still shaking. Luffy? Hey, do you know where I am? Coby, not wanting to be in the same position as the pirate before him, answered him quickly. Coby? Why you're on Alvida's pirate ship. The young man looked at him blankly then rubbed his chin while deep thought until his stomach started growling. Luffy? You wouldn't happen to know where I can find some food, would you? Coby stopped shaking and looked at him oddly before taking him to the cellar and gave him a barrel full of apples. Luffy? Oh, boy, apples though it's not exactly meat, it'll do. The young man exclaimed as he chomped down on the first apple. Coby watched this guy from a safe distance so he could ask him questions. Coby, you so, who are you? In mid-snacking the young man faced Coby. Luffy. Imrai. He spoke with a mouth filled with apples. Coby, what? With a loud gulp, the young man tried again. Luffy. Sorry, I meant to say, my name is Monkey D. Luffy, and I'm a pirate. Coby's eyes grew as big as his glasses. Coby. As in the Monkey D. Luffy, leader of the Terrible Three. Luffy. Yup. Coby then became even more frightened because he had heard about Luffy and his tremendous power, but when it comes to personality, he only heard stories about his bloodlust and ruthless attitude in battle. Coby. What are you even doing here? Luffy. Oh well, my boat got caught in a whirlpool as I was setting off to become a fully fledged pirate, so to save myself, I jumped into a barrel, and I guess you guys must have picked me up. Coby. One more question, why would you even want to become a pirate? Luffy. Smiles for Gold Roger's treasure. Coby's jaw dropped to the floor. Coby. One Piece, that treasure doesn't even exist, it's just a myth, it bonk. Coby was now nursing a sore lump on his head. Coby. Why did you hit me? Luffy just looked at him blankly. Luffy. You shouldn't scoff at people's dreams. Coby immediately reprimanded his actions. Coby, sorry, I just want to know why. Luffy. To become the new Pirate King. Smile widens. This time Coby just stood there, speechless. Coby's mind. Is this guy for real? He wants to become the next Pirate King, though from what I've heard about him, he just might pull it off. Luffy, I'm not afraid to die, Coby, I've set myself to become a legend. And if I die trying, at least I tried. What about you, what's your dream? Luffy asked. Coby thought about it for a minute. For at least years he had been in service to an ogress with a foul temper that he had nearly forgotten what his dream was until the realization hit him like a ton of bricks. Coby. I want to join the Marines so I can become an admiral, so I can arrest pirates like Alvida. We'll end up being enemies, but I want to join the Navy and fight the bad guys. It's been my dream since I was a little kid. Luffy, do you think I can do it? Luffy. With enough determination and a lot of training, I think you at least have a shot. Coby, yes, I'm gonna do it. What have I got to lose? I don't wanna be a miserable cabin boy my whole life. Better to risk my life to achieve my dream. I'll join the Navy. And then I'll capture Alvida. The roof above their heads suddenly exploded, revealing a very pissed off Alvida jumped down to the ground. Alvida. What did you say? Coby, you're going to capture me? That's a laugh. She turned her gaze to Luffy next and immediately froze in fear. Alvida, you're not the pirate hunter Roronoa's aura, you're undead. Luffy. Luffy just looked at her and smiled. Luffy. Not surprised, you know who I am, after all I am the most powerful in the East Blue. Alvida merely grunted and turned back to Coby to torture him some more. Alvida, Coby. Who's the loveliest woman in the world? The pink-haired boy went back to his stuttering until Luffy answered for him. Luffy. Hey Coby, who's this fat? Coby, as well as all of the Alvida pirates, had their jaws dropped to the floor and eyes popping out at Luffy's death wish. Alvida's face was riddled with tick marks. Alvida. You bastard. She swung her mace at her target, which was Luffy, which hit its target. Alvida proudly smiled. Alvida. For someone who's said to be on par with the 7 warlords or even the 4 emperors themselves, he sure was weak. Coby just looked in sadness and pity at the man. Then the entire crew started slashing him with swords all over his body, one of them even stabbed in through the heart. Coby. You idiot, I told you becoming the Pirate King was a bad idea, you couldn't even beat these guys. Luffy. Hey, why the long face? Everyone was shocked to see Luffy still alive even after all of that as he breaks the sword, piercing his heart in half before pulling it out. Alvida pirate. The hell. But what shocked everyone was the fact that Luffy had actually caught Alvida's mace, and with one hand no less, and crushed it with ease. Luffy. I'll ask you again, who is this woman? Grins. Coby inhaled as much air as he could and screamed. Coby. She's the ugliest and rudest in all the seas. This shocked everyone to no end and made Alvida absolutely livid. Coby. I said it and I won't take it back. No more cringing for me from now on, I'll fight for my dreams. Luffy. Well said, now let me take care of the rest. Luffy then turned to Alvida with an evil smirk and starts walking towards her, to which she starts to retreat in fear. Eventually she had nowhere left to go and starts begging for her life. Alvida. Please have mercy. Luffy. Sorry, all out of mercy. Physical hunt. Her strength was then drained as Luffy stretched his arm back and he yelled. Luffy, gum gum. Pistol. The punch sent Alvida flying as she falls to the sea and starts skipping like a rock. Alvida pirate. This guy is as strong as they say he is. Alvida pirate. Definitely a pirate worth million Beely. Luffy. Give Coby a boat, he's gonna join the navy. Pirates, why yes sir. Coby, Luffy. The two then left, but not without leaving the men unconscious on the floor, with foam coming out of their mouths and their eyes without pupils. Somehow, Luffy managed to catch an image of a young, red-headed female he seemed to be stealing from Alvida's pirate ship. When the boat touched the surface, Luffy called out to his pet. Luffy. King. Suddenly, the surface rippled and bubbled until the serpent rose out of the water. Coby looked towards the towering Sea King. He adjusted his glasses so he could see properly and then turned to Luffy with a neutral expression. Coby. You have a pet Sea King? He asked the young pirate with an even tone. Luffy. Yup, his name's King and he's my first crew member. It was after the small introduction that Coby fully fainted. Too much excitement in 1 hour could do that. Luffy just laughed out loud with King and together they jetted off into the horizon. Coby, so you ate the gum gum devil when you were little and were born with the ability to steal objects and strength. That's incredible. YN. Yup. Coby, but if you're after the One Piece, that means you'll have to enter the sea that's called the Grand Line, right? You know they call it the Pirates' Graveyard. Luffy, and that's why I'm assembling a crew, that guy imprisoned at the Navy base. What's her name? Coby. Hirano Zoro. Luffy. If she's a good guy, I'll let her join my crew. Coby. Now you're talking crazy again, never that'll never happen, the woman's a demonic beast. Luffy. How do you know, you already met her? Coby. Never. Luffy. A demonic beast, huh? Coby. Hirano Zoro is her real name, but they call her Zoro the pirate hunter. She's like a bloodthirsty hound, roaming the seas, hunting men for the bounties on their heads. They say she's a demon in human form. Luffy. Even though I have a bounty on my head, I don't think this girl could even scratch me, let alone kill or capture me, so I think I'll be fine. Man. All this talk about bounty hunters and whatnot takes me back to when I was alive, when everyone in the kingdom was after my head. Sigh, those were the good times. Luffy then started to laugh, which confused Coby. Coby. What's so funny? Luffy. Oh, nothing. Coby. Okay, but Luffy, she's a pirate hunter, pirate hunters don't mix well with pirates. Luffy. I haven't decided whether I'll invite her to join our crew or not. If she's a good guy, then I'll let her join. Coby. You're as stubborn as a mule. Small time skip. Luffy. We're finally here, we made it to the Navy base town. Coby, you're amazing, you actually got us to our destination. Coby. Of course I did, navigation's the minimum requirement for people who sail the seas. Luffy. Enough talking, let's eat. Small time skip. Luffy. Well Coby, this is where we part ways, good luck on your dream, I'm sure you'll join the navy and become a great sailor. Coby. Thank you, and I hope you become a great pirate even if it means we become enemies. Luffy. Speaking of which, I better go meet this Zoro, isn't she supposed to be imprisoned here? Man. It seems that even though she's been captured, people still fear her and they fear her a lot by the looks of it. Coby, maybe you shouldn't say it out loud around here. Anyway, I saw a poster that said this base is under the command of Captain Morgan. Coby. I can get Zoro, but why do they fear their own captain? The two then paid and left the restaurant. Luffy. Ha 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 ha, what a great restaurant, I want to go back there again. Coby. Everyone is so jumpy, I've got a bad feeling about this. Luffy. Maybe they like to jump around like that. Coby. How could this even be possible? I'm trying to think seriously here. Luffy. Holy crap, this place is huge. Coby. Trust me, compared to the main navy base this is pretty small. Luffy. Well, what are you waiting for, go on in. Coby. Coby. But I haven't mentally prepared myself yet. And those people were scared, they heard the captain's name. Luffy. Luffy, look, I see why you're scared, but there's nothing to worry about, you wanna know why? Coby. Why? Luffy, they can take your family, they can take your friends, they can take everything you hold dear, and they can take your life, but they can't take your dreams, so go in there and make your dreams come true. Coby. Right. Luffy. Now if you'll excuse us, I have a crew member to recruit. Coby. Luffy, what are you doing? You won't find her just by peeking over the fence, she's probably deep within the bowels of the prison. Luffy. Oh yeah, well, there's somebody over there, maybe it's Zoro. I don't think I need to say to pretend it's a girl. Coby. A black bandana and a haramaki sash, it's really him, that's Hirano Zoro, she looks so menacing. Luffy. Why is she exposed in the middle of a plain field? I can just jump over and untie her, since there are no guards in sight. Coby. That's suicide. If you let her loose, she'll kill us then wreck the town. Zoro. Hey kids. Come over here and untie me, I've been here for 9 days and I can't take it anymore. Luffy. Hey, she's smiling. Coby. She's talking to us. Zoro. I'll make it worth your while, I'll capture someone with a big price on their head and give all the bounty to you, you can trust me, I'm a woman of my word. Luffy then jumped down in front of Zoro with a huge grin on his face. Luffy. I will if you join my pirate crew. Zoro. Tch, that's such a stupid thing to ask, since I hunt down pirates and now that I know you are one yourself. Gained a sadistic smile. I think I'll kill you. There was a pause until Luffy started to laugh. This is when Zoro finally recognized the year-old and his eyes widen in shock. Zoro's mind, this guy. He has a million bounty on his head, if I bring him in, then I'd be set for life, though I kinda wish I didn't have to, he's actually kinda cute. At that moment, a ladder went against the wall, with a little girl climbing it, landing on the other side of the wall, starting to walk towards Zoro. Coby. Hey D, don't go down there, it's dangerous. Luffy, do something, she'll be killed. Zoro. What do you want? Get lost. Do you want to be killed? Girl. I made these rice balls for you, I thought you might need some food, it's the first time I've made rice balls, I hope you like them. Zoro. I'm not hungry now, beat it and take that stuff with you. Girl. Beat butt. Zoro. I don't want it now, get out of here or I'll stomp you to death. Urano. Zoro, you shouldn't pick on little girls, I'll tell my father on you. Luffy. Who's this weirdo? Zoro. HMPH. Well. If it isn't the idiot son, living off of daddy's wealth. Helmeppo, did you just call me an idiot? A woman in your position should guard her tongue, or she could lose it. Little girl. Did you bring those rice balls for me? How thoughtful. Girl. Hey, give it back. Helmeppo. Black, disgusting, it's sweet, there's sugar on it, rice balls are supposed to be seasoned with salt, not sugar. Girl. B, but I like sweets, so I figured sugar would be better. Helmeppo. These are completely inedible. Girl. Stop please, you're ruining them. Coby, how evil. That little girl worked really hard to make those rice balls. Helmeppo. Don't worry, I'm sure the ants will find them delicious, hahaha. Girl. Oh no, why I worked so hard to make them. Helmeppo. Oh, stop your crying, that's why I hate kids, it's your own fault, can't you read the sign? It says, anybody aiding the prisoners shall be found guilty of the crimes he or she has committed. Captain Morgan, I'm sure you know just how scary my father is. If you were an adult, you would be put to death now, as for you, points to Luffy, I don't know how the hell you are. But before he could even finish, Luffy stretched his arm and punched Helmeppo in the dead center of his face, knocking him out and surprising Zoro and the girl. Luffy. I was getting tired of that asshole's mouth. He then proceeded to beat the crap out of the 2 marines accompanying Helmeppo and started to untie Zoro. Zoro. The hell are you doing? Stop. Luffy. But I still want you on my crew, besides you seem like a nice girl. Zoro was shocked and soon started to blush a little, By the way, Luffy may be stupid sometimes, but he's not blunt in this story. Zoro. You don't have to, I made a promise with that bastard you knocked out that if I last a month on the pole without food or water, then that girl will be safe and then I can get back to following my dream. Luffy. Which is? Zoro. To be the greatest swordsman in the world. Luffy. Well then I guess I'll just stay here until you are released then, there's only more days left, so what do you say? Zoro. Chuckles, judging by what you just did to Helmeppo you're obviously a demon spawn. Luffy. Hey, you're no better, Ms. Demon in human form, you've certainly got quite the reputation. Zoro. Reputation, how well, anyway, I don't go for that kind of crap, I've got my own plans for the future, I don't need nor want your help, I can get out of here on my own, all I have to do is last a month here, just more days here, and I'll be a free woman. Captain Morgan's idiot son promised me, just more days left, then I'll be able to pursue my own dream. Luffy. I see. I don't think I would last 1 week without food. Zoro. Me and you are different, I've got more willpower. Luffy. Yeah, you're definitely wrong about that, but it's just that I love food, especially meat. Zoro. Whatever, go look for a crew elsewhere. Luffy. Okay, but you're eating these rice balls. Luffy then used Fox Hunt to grab the rice balls and separate the dirt, shocking Zoro and the girl once more. Luffy. Now eat, you haven't had a morsel of food in weeks. Zoro. Cough, it's delicious. Thanks kid. Girl. I'm so glad. Luffy. Well then I guess I'll be going now, come on little girl. Girl. Okay. Zoro's mind, there's something about that guy, but I can't put my finger on it. Ugh, why is my heart beating so fast? Later. Coby. You know, I'm starting to think she's not the bad guy people depict her to be. Girl. That's because she's not a bad guy, everybody in town is afraid of her, but she's done nothing wrong, she got thrown in prison because of me, Captain Morgan's son had a really mean dog, it attacked me, and Zoro saved me besides, the dog was running loose and scaring everybody in town. Luffy. So what you're telling us is that that spoiled douchebag put Zoro in jail for protecting you? Girl? Yes. Luffy, I see. Coby. That makes sense, Zoro is really scary, but she only goes after people with a price on their heads, and she wouldn't get thrown in prison for that. Girl. Captain Morgan and his son are the bad ones, they sentence people to death for no reason at all, everyone's afraid of them. Helmeppo. Where is he? Where's the bastard? He broke my nose. We then see Helmeppo with a bandage over his nose harassing Marines and civilians alike. Luffy. Blairers speak of the devil and he shall come. Luffy then walked out of the bar, cracking his knuckles. Helmeppo. Find that strawhat prick, I want his head on a silver platter, I want that bastard executed in 3 days, just like we planned for Rarano's aura, understood? Soldiers. Why yes, Helmeppo. Luffy. Hey. Helmeppo turned only to get a haki-infused punch to the gut, knocking him out once more. The soldiers pulled out their guns and started shooting at Luffy, but the pirate simply caught all the bullets and threw them back, killing them. This then caused an uproar as Luffy charges through the entire battalion of Marines. Meanwhile. Morgan, I am. Great. Soldier. Yes, Captain Morgan, sir. Morgan, then why are the tributes from the peasants? Ahem, townsfolk. Getting smaller. Soldier. I guess the people's wallets aren't as deep as they used to be. Morgan. It's not if they can pay, it's how much respect they have for me. Then another soldier burst into the room looking ready to piss his pants. Soldier. Sir. Morgan. What's wrong, Lieutenant, why the commotion? Soldier. Strawhat Luffy is going berserk, he killed of our men and is heading this way. With Luffy. Luffy. Coby, stay with the girl and her mother, I'm going to the marine base to bust Zoro out. Coby. Alright. Rika. Please be safe. Luffy turned towards the two before smiling and giving them a thumbs up, he then proceeded to go gear second and speed towards the marine base. Time skip. Luffy had made it to the base to find that Captain Morgan and overmen were waiting for him. Morgan. Well, if it isn't Straw Hat Luffy the undead. Luffy. Well, I see you guys sure know how to make a guy feel welcome, well, shall we get his party started? Morgan. Today, Straw Hat, you will pay for your crimes and be captured by me, Axe Hand Morg. However, he never got to finish as Luffy appeared right in front of him and grabs the captain's head before proceeding to rip it right off of his shoulders, blood spraying everywhere. Luffy then turned towards the terrified Marines before he started to steam, he then bit his thumb and blew air into his arm, enlarging it and pulled it back, his arm was then infused with haki and lit on fire, and he yelled. Luffy, gum gum. Red ROC. Luffy launched his arm forwards, sending every single Marine flying, when Luffy's arm turned back to normal the Marines were knocked out cold. He then went over to Zoro, who was in complete shock, and although she would never admit it, a bit frightening. But also turned on. Zoro's mind. This guy is a devil. Zoro. If this is about joining your crew, then my answer is still no. Luffy. Call me Luffy, I'll untie you if you join my pirate crew, okay? Zoro. You just don't listen, boy, I've got my own mission, and it doesn't involve becoming a stinking pirate. Luffy. What, you too good to be a pirate, a bounty hunter, who is a demon in the eyes of everyone else. Zoro. I don't care what people think, I live by my own code, I've never done anything I regret and I don't intend to in the future, which is why I'll never be a pirate. Luffy, sorry. But I've made up my mind, you're gonna join my crew unless you want to die, of course. Zoro. I don't care what you decided, wait, what? Luffy. Well, you see, Helmeppo was never gonna keep his promise and was going to execute you 3 days from now, and I couldn't let that happen to my first crewmate, so I came here to save you. Zoro, so you did all of this? Just so I could join your crew, you did all of this? For me? Luffy. Yup. She blushed hard but then started to laugh. Zoro. Laughs, you are one crazy kid, and I must admit you act nothing like how people say you do, you're a much different breed of pirate, I'll give you that, and to be honest, I'm quite flattered that you would go on such a rampage just to save my life, so you got yourself a pirate. Luffy. Alright, now let me just untie you. Luffy then started to untie him, and once he was done he started to walk towards the way he came in until he noticed that Zoro wasn't moving. Luffy. What's wrong? Zoro. We need to grab my swords, my weapons are something I just can't live without, they're in the base. Luffy. Alright, let me get them for you, just one sec. Luffy then sped towards the base and started destroying wall after wall, going through every room to find Zoro's swords, he finally found them in Helmeppo's room and rushed out with the entire base crumbling behind him. Luffy. Anyways, which swords are yours? I didn't know, so I brought you all 3. Zoro. They're all mine, I practice Antoryu three swords style. Luffy. Nice, welp, you ready to enter a life of piracy? Zoro. It doesn't matter what road I take, good guy, bad guy, as long as my name is known worldwide, and if you do something that ends up in the way of my goal, I'll cut your stomach open to say sorry. Luffy. Good to be the world's #1 swordsman since you want to be the Pirate King's crew member. If you can't even accomplish something that small, then I would be embarrassed as well. This is when Coby would arrive to see the destroyed base and unconscious marines. He carefully avoids them to get to Luffy and Zoro. Coby. Luffy. Luffy. Oh hey Coby, glad you could make it here, look who I got to be part of my crew. Coby. Wait, she accepted. Luffy. Chuckles, yup, now let's head back, I'm starving. The three then started to head back to the restaurant, and as they did Zoro began to whisper to Coby. Zoro. Hey, why are you traveling with this guy? Coby, well, he saved my life, even though he's a bit weird, he's a really nice guy once you get to know him, and there's something about him, he wants to be the next Pirate King, and as crazy as it is, I think he can do it. I mean, everyone knows how strong he is, it's not every day you meet a rookie whose strength may as well rival a Yonko's. The three then noticed the Marines were starting to get up and realize what had just happened. Soldiers, the captain. He lost, Captain Morgan has been defeated. Luffy. If you want to try and still arrest us, we won't stop you. Soldiers. Soldiers. Yes, we're free, we are out of Morgan's control, long live the Navy. Luffy. What's going on? They seem happy their captain was killed. Coby, everyone. They hated Morgan, he terrorized the soldiers the same way he terrorized the townsfolk. Zoro. Well, that's a relief. At that moment Zoro collapsed on the ground. Luffy. Huh, Zoro. Coby. She hasn't eaten in weeks, she needs food. Time skip. Zoro, phew. I'm full, I haven't eaten for weeks, almost starved to death. Luffy. Then it's impossible for you to last an entire month. Zoro. You're so scrawny, how come you can still eat more than me? Luffy. Thanks to my elasticity I'm able to consume a lot without even gaining a bit of weight. Coby, sorry. Even I ate quite a lot. Mother. Don't worry, keep eating, you saved our town, after all. Rika. You guys are so strong. Luffy. Yep, we are, and we'll get even stronger later on. Zoro. Yeah, that reminds me, what are our plans next? Luffy. We're going to the Grand Line to find the One Piece. Zoro. So you're planning on being the Pirate King? Luffy. Haha. Coby. What, you're saying crazy things again, just you three? How can you enter the Grand Line? Don't you understand the world's strongest pirates all gather there? Bonk. Coby. Oh. Would you hit me? Luffy. You were rambling again, and also you worry too much. Zoro. If we're going after the One Piece, it won't hurt to head that direction. Coby. Zoro, you agree with him? Zoro, what are you so worried about? It's not like you're coming with us. Coby, even though I'm not going. I can still worry, can't I worry about you guys. Coby, Luffy, Zoro. Even though we just met. I still consider you my friends. Luffy. Yeah, even though we have to part ways, we'll always be friends. Coby, I've never had friends growing up. Every time I would be picked on. No one would stand up for me. Zoro. First of all, you'd better worry about yourself. Coby. Why? Luffy. You spent 2 years working on a pirate ship, if the Navy learn about that, bye-bye dream. Zoro. Don't underestimate their ability to gather information, if they know, they won't let you join. Lieutenant. Excuse me. Lieutenant. We were wondering, is it true you are Monkey D. Luffy, the rookie pirate of Million Beely? Luffy. Yes, we just found out, first crew member, so that would make us pirates now. Lieutenant, I see. Even though you have quite the reputation and you are pirates, you saved our town and base, however, since you are pirates, as the Navy, we cannot allow you to stay in town any longer, please leave this place immediately, as a thanks, we will not report you to headquarters. Citizens. Hey Navy, what kind of bullshit are you saying? Are you kidding us or have you all gone nuts? They are the town's saviors. Man. Knew this would happen sooner or later. Luffy, yeah, well then, let's go, thank you for the food, ma'am. Coby, Luffy. Lieutenant. Hey, aren't you going with them? Coby, I. Flashback. Luffy. Even though we have to part ways, we'll always be friends. Flashback end. Coby, I'm not with them. Lieutenant, please hold on. Is he telling the truth? Luffy, I guess I can tell you what he used to do before we met. Coby, Luffy. What is he? Luffy. I can't recall where, but he used to be with this really fat female pirate, I believe her name was Alvida. Coby, Luffy. Please. Don't do this. Luffy, she was a really fat and ugly pirate, this guy spent 2 years with her as her cabin boy. Coby. Ugh. Everyone. Luffy wipes blood off mouth and smiles like a maniac. Oh, it is Suwon. Lieutenant. Both if you stop it, I won't allow this town to get into any more fights. Zoro. Luffy, stop, he's done, now let him fall to the ground. Coby then fell to the ground in a dazed state. Lieutenant. I know he isn't your friend, please leave this town immediately. Kobe's mind, he did it for me. He wanted to make me mad. Make me hit him. Even in the very end, I still needed their care. I am so damn useless. I am an idiot. I don't take this chance, then everything they did, everything he did will be a waste. Coby. Please let me join the Navy, even if it's chores, I will still do them. Soldier. Lieutenant, I don't know about this one, there have been events where pirates have joined the Navy to be spies, so we have to properly check his background before we can decide. Coby, I am a man whose dream is to become a member of the Navy. Lieutenant, don't think we don't know your past as a pirate, you underestimated our power, but I will still allow you to join. Coby. Yes sir, thank you sir. With the crew. Zoro. Nice act this way, even though he's been a pirate before, it wouldn't be such a big deal. Luffy. I know Coby will become stronger and more independent in the future. Zoro. Well, time to go, or else there's no telling what will happen, not leaving anything behind, that's what pirates all about. Luffy. Ha, that's what I'm saying, whistles. King then arrived from the depths of the ocean with a great white shark in his mouth. Luffy. Hey boy, you ready to go? The Sea King then made a groaning sound to answer yes, as he was then attached to the boat once more. Zoro. Why am I not surprised that you have a Sea King for a pet? They then started to sail away until Coby, Luffy, thank you very much, I will never forget you guys for the rest of my life. Zoro. A marine saluting pirates, what's happening here? Luffy. I'm happy for you Coby, we may have to fight someday, but until then and after, we will always be friends, and we will meet again someday. Lieutenant. Group, salute. Coby. Lieutenant. Those are some good friends you got there. Coby, why? Yes sir. Lieutenant. We just saluted pirates and therefore violated the Navy's codes, so as punishment we will go without food for 3 days, is this understood? Soldiers. Sir, yes sir. With the crew. Luffy, and now we're off. To the Grand Line. After a few hours of sailing in no particular direction, Zoro spoke up. Zoro. Do you even know where we're going? Luffy scratched the side of his face bashfully. Luffy, I was hoping that you would know. Zoro. Dummy, that's why you're the captain, you have to have some navigational skills in order to travel. How the hell were you able to find Shell Town anyway? She yelled louder, this time her features changed to a more comical sense. Her eyes were angry white and her regular teeth were replaced by shark teeth. Luffy. I winged it. Replied the laid-back captain. Zoro pinched her eyebrows. Zoro's mind, just great. I have an idiot for a captain, she cursed inwardly at her misfortune before looking back at Luffy with a barely visible blush. Zoro's mind. Then again, he is a cute idiot. All of a sudden a bird flew down and grabbed Luffy's hat. Luffy? Oh hell no. Immediately Luffy used Gear Second to appear beside the bird and grab his hat, but then a much larger bird grabbed him by his head and flew off at breakneck speed, but he simply drained the bird of his energy and easily got out of its beak. He then used Gum Gum Rocket to make it back to the boat. Luffy. Smiles, I got us some food. Zoro. You idiot. The pirate huntress yelled before bonking him on the head. Meanwhile. Pirate. Another big haul today, that's 2 in a row. Pirate. This should keep Buggy from getting too mad at us. Pirate. Hey, what with that boat out there? The other 2 pirate then looked out to see a small boat not too far away. Pirate. We should check it out. The pirates then sailed to the boat before stopping right beside it to see a seemingly passed out woman and gained sickening smiles. Pirate. Huh, it's a lady. Pirate. Chuckles darkly, hey wake up little girl. The woman then looked up at the pirates with a tired smile. Girl. Oh please tell me I'm not dreaming this time, finding help out here in the middle of nowhere, if you're real, then please could you get me some water, I'm so thirsty. She then pointed to a chest with gold lining. Girl. I'll give you as much jewelry and valuables as you like if you just give me one little drink. Pirate. No sweat, we'll help you, but not until we see what kind of treasure you're holding on to. The pirates then proceeded to hop onto her boat. Pirate. Yeah, don't mind us, we'll just be a minute. Pirate. Tries to unlock chest, can't get the damn thing up, hold up, here we go. But as he opened it, a stuffed panda on a string popped out, surprising them. All 3. Ah. The laugh is then heard as the pirates turn around. Nami. If you want you can keep the whole thing, it's not my style. The 3 then started to scream as the woman started sailing away on their boat. Pirate. But that's our boat. Pirate. You tricked us. Still with a smile on her face, the girl turned to the right and looked onward. Nami. From the look of those clouds moving in from the south, I'd say a cold front's coming, so you can probably expect strong winds and squalls anytime now really. As she was speaking, a big grey cloud started to loom over the three. Nami. Also in that small boat you're on a bit of a chance of capsizing. When she was finished, rain started to pour down on the pirates and the waves became rougher and more choppy. Nami. Bingo, see ya, I'll just take whatever treasure you guys got here. Pirate. Get back here you. Pirate. We'll get you for this. Time skip. After Luffy told Zoro why his hat was so important, the two hear screaming, they looked in front of them and saw three pirates holding on to a plank of wood and Luffy being the nice and carefree guy that he has decided to help them. Luffy. Hey. Pirates. Huh. Luffy. Get on. The three pirates hesitantly got on while Luffy just laughed. Luffy. You guys should really be more careful. Pirate. Yeah, now give us your boat. Pirate. This is the territory of the clown pirate Buggy. Luffy and Zoro look at each other and start laughing their asses off. One ass beating later. Pirate. Our sincerest apologies, we had no idea you were sin of greed. Luffy and pirate huntress Zoro. The three pirates now had multiple bruises and cuts on their bodies while bowing to the two. Luffy, well. This is weird. Zoro. I'm not that surprised and you shouldn't be either. If you have forgotten, your name has spread throughout all the sea, many people either want to hunt you down or are scared shitless just by the mere mention of you. This caused the captain to laugh like a maniac as they continued to sail to land. When they finally make it to an island, Luffy lets them go, to which they gladly oblige and thank him by running with their tails between their legs. Zoro. Was that really a good idea? Luffy. Yeah, it's fine, I know their captain pretty well so it shouldn't be a problem. Now come on, I'm hungry. Meanwhile in the hustle and bustle of Orange Town. Wait a minute. There is no hustle and bustle. Just silence. And a few tumbleweeds rolling by to prove the town's abandonment. Why would anyone want to vacate a nice place like Orange Town? It's not like it's under control of a pirate or something. Oh wait. It is specifically by the Buggy Pirates, led by one of the infamous pirates in the East Blue, Buggy the Clown. Now there was nothing entirely special to the pirate clown captain, except that he once served on Gold Roger's ship as a crew member. However, ever since his captain's execution, he went off on his own to claim the world's greatest treasure, Captain John's treasure, which is said to be equally as great as One Piece. So in order to do this, Buggy couldn't stand out as much as his disbanded comrades, because if he did, the world government would track his every movement and that alone would ruin his chances in searching for said treasure. So he stuck to basic piracy and pillaging. Now, however, he was looking for his map of the Grand Line, that red-haired devil Nami had stolen from right under his nose. In short, Buggy was not pleased. Buggy. Somebody had better explain to me how you managed to let a weak girl like her steal my map to the Grand Line. He barked. A fat middle-aged pirate timidly walked up to his captain. Pirate Captain Buggy, sir. But it may have been due to the fact that we left the key to the lock of the treasure chest, keeping the map out in the open, plain as the nose on your face. Buggy's eyes snapped wide open as he was instantly up in his face, threateningly. Buggy. What did you say? Pirate. I mean it was easy for her to find and take it. Buggy. Did you say something about my nose? Pirate. Gah. Buggy. Smiles wickedly. So, are you trying to tell me that you find my nose funny? Is my nose amusing? Pirate. No sir, you've misunderstood. Buggy. Oh no, you were quite clear. The pirate then dropped to the floor and skidded back as far as he could, whimpering. Pirate. Help me. But the rest of the crew just stood there with shocked and scared faces. Pirate. This isn't good. Pirate, he's gonna use the devil fruit power. And just like that, the pirate was lifted off the ground by what it seemed to be thin air by the throat. Buggy. Tell me, who am I? Pirate. Cap. Tain. Bug. Jai. As he tried his hardest to speak, he was being pulled towards his captain. Captain. And what happens if someone defies me? Pirate. Flashy. Death awaits them, please. Forgive me. The clown pirate unclenched his fist and the pirate dropped to the ground. Buggy. Quit your groveling, I'll overlook your slip-up and forgive you this time. The captain then turned away from the pirate and started walking towards his little throne. Buggy. But you better get that chart back, don't screw up again or else. His crew then threw up their hands and yelled. Clown pirates. Yes, Captain Buggy. Running through the empty streets in another part of town, an orange-haired teenage girl was currently being chased by two of Buggy's crew as they had found out that she was the thief. As they were about to catch up, a girl bumped into Luffy and they all stopped their little chase. Luffy grabbed the girl by her shoulder and smiled. Luffy. Hey, you gotta wait, where you're going, ma'am, are you okay? The red-haired girl suddenly hatched a plan as to make her escape easier. Nami? Thanks boss. She shouted out loud enough to bring attention back to her. Zoro? Wah. Buggy pirates? Huh. The four clueless men echoed. She didn't bother standing to replay. She took off running and yelled back. Nami, I'll leave everything to you sir. That knocked the four out of their daze, now towering over the boy and girl. Buggy pirate? Boss, huh. But then one of the pirates recognizes him. Buggy pirate? Wait, that straw hat, why you're him, you're the son of Greed Luffy. This caused the rest of the pirates to get shocked and scared in faces before they started to tremble in fear. Buggy pirate? Why the hell are you here? Buggy pirate? Are you gonna start a war with our captain? Zoro, we don't care who your captain is, but since you messed with mine. Unsheath the sword. Luffy. Puts a hand on Zoro's shoulder. Zoro, it's fine, let them go, this is starting to get interesting. Zoro. Looks away in annoyance. TCH. As the pirates started running for their lives, the two hear a solitary clapping from above. They turned their attention to the same red-haired girl on top of the roof who had him deal with those pirates. Nami? That was incredible, she cheered as she dropped down to meet him. Luffy, thanks. Who are you? Asked Luffy. The red-haired girl walked up and extended her hand to greet him properly. Nami? I'm Nami. Luffy. Luffy. Zoro. Zoro. They greeted back. Now was the time to put a bit of her charm. Nami, you're pretty strong. Say, how about you and I partner up, we'll make loads of money off of these pirates. Luffy however walked away with Zoro closely behind. Luffy? Not interested. Nami was taken aback a bit, but before she could interject, she heard Luffy's stomach growling. He turned back to face her. Luffy, I'm hungry. Time skip. Luffy was just finishing off a sandwich he just happened to come across inside a house that Nami showed them. She explained to him about how the people deserted their town and that Buggy the clown ruled with an iron fist. Zoro, and what about you? Are you here to rob the houses while the people are away? Nami narrowed her eyes at her. Nami? Don't insult me, I only steal from pirates. Luffy had finished his meal and got up. Luffy, ah. Delicious, well thanks for the meal, bye. And he walked out the door. But Nami went after him. Luffy. Wait a minute, what about my offer? Luffy stopped and turned to face her. Luffy. Well, what can you do besides steal? Nami flashed a grin. Nami. Well, my navigational skills are no laughing matter. Now Luffy was interested. Luffy, wait. So you're a navigator? Nami nodded. This caused Luffy's grin to appear and widen considerably. Luffy. Alright, now I've finally found a navigator to join my crew. Nami's mind, crew. But he isn't a marine. Wait. Nami. By any chance, are you a pirate, she asked. Luffy. Yeah, why do you ask? Her cross demeanor returned. Nami. I hate pirates more than anything. Luffy. Oh well then, how about I help you out a bit, then you can decide if I'm just another filthy pirate. This is when Nami's sly smirk returned. Nami, wait right here. The woman then went upstairs and minutes later she came back with a piece. Nami. Follow me. Luffy. Alright then, I take it this is you accepting my offer. But before Luffy can take even a step, a hand is felt on his shoulder, he looks up to see that it was Zoro. Zoro. I don't trust this girl, she reeks of deception. Luffy. Smiles, don't worry, I'll be fine, just grab some more food for you and King, I won't be long. Luffy then proceeded to follow Nami out of the house. Zoro. Please be careful. Time skip. We now see Luffy tied up in front of the Buggy pirates, with Nami using him as a bargaining chip. Nami. Here you can have the map back. Buggy. Why the sudden change, girl? Nami. Well, for one, I'm fed up with my old boss always putting my life in danger, and when we first met he claimed to be Straw Hat Luffy and I just found out he was lying. This caused Buggy to start laughing like a psycho. Buggy. I will admit you're a very interesting girl, man, let's celebrate in honor of getting the map back and our new pal Nami. Buggy pirates? Yeah. Luffy. Well, she sure is crafty. Luffy said as they put him in a sea stone prison. Buggy. So you're the thief who's been posing as Straw Hat, eh? Luffy. Tilts head and smiles, yup. This caused the entire crew to laugh as they continued to party. Luffy. I can't wait to get my crew together. This is when Nami walks up to him and starts leaning on the cage. Nami. You're still going on about that, can't you see the situation you're in and to act like you're actually Straw Hat Luffy, I mean tries to grab his hat, this old thing is. But as she went to grab the hat her hand started to wrinkle and in panic she pulls back and falls onto the ground, scared out of her mind. Nami. WWW, what was that? What did you just do? Luffy. Gains a dark look, if you value your life, you should stay clear of the hat or I will kill you. This is when Buggy comes up, laughing in his face and starts bragging about how much of a big deal he is. Buggy. Load the buggy ball. Soon enough, there was a large cannon pointed at a row of houses. This is when Luffy breaks out of his restraints and stands up. He then grabs onto the cage bars and bends them outward enough to where he can slip out, shocking everyone. Buggy. But it was made out sea prism stone. Luffy. I'm hurt you didn't recognize me, Buggy, and even more hurt that you thought I was a fake, but one thing sure hasn't changed, you're still a loud mouth. Buggy. Grr, don't just stand there, fire at Straw Hat. The pirates then quickly turned the cannon towards Luffy. Luffy, gum. Pistol. The cannon was then destroyed. Buggy pirate. He really is Straw Hat Luffy. Nami, no way. Buggy pirate. Looks towards Buggy, what now, Captain? Buggy, useless bunch of. Fine, if you want something done, you gotta do it yourself, chop cannon. The clown pirate then lifted his arm and his fist suddenly shot off towards Luffy. Luffy. Tch pathetic. The captain then swatted it away like a fly, shocking everyone. Luffy. Second gear. And at the speed of light, Luffy was in front of Buggy. He then punched him in the face and slammed into the ground so hard that it caused a tornado. Pushed everyone back. When the dust clears, we see Luffy with a bloody fist and Buggy, who looked like he had his soul forcefully ripped out of him. Luffy. Don't worry, he's alive, but that was a warning. Matter of fact, this is no longer the territory of Buggy the clown, this town is now under my protection. At this point Nami was scared shitless. Nami's mind. He could have killed me at any time, and he almost did. Nami. Hey look, I took it too far, I can still. But Luffy just walks past her and sits on Buggy's throne, cross-legged. Luffy. Well, what are you doing over there? I still want you on my crew, you know. In fear, Nami runs to Luffy's side and stands straight. Nami's mind. Why does he even want me on his crew still? Luffy's mind. When Buggy was about to fire that cannon, everyone was excited, but not you, you're a good person, Nami. A few hours pass and Buggy finally wakes up to see Luffy in his chair. He walks up to Luffy and to everyone's utter shock he says this. Buggy. I apologize for my actions, Luffy, please forgive me, Bose. Luffy. Shanks would be really disappointed, you know that anyway, as punishment for all that you've done your territory is now mine, as well as a good chunk of your treasure. Glare sounds fair. Seeing the look in Luffy's eye causes Buggy to shake in fear, and now once again. Buggy. Why yes, gets up, alright men, you heard him, give him our treasure, and then we're heading out. Luffy. One more thing. Small time skip. Clown. We now see Luffy, Zoro, Nami, and Buggy all in front of the townspeople with Buggy glaring at the people. Buggy. This town is now the territory of Straw Hat Luffy, got it? This caused the townspeople to become frightened and rapidly shake their heads. Luffy. Bonks Buggy on the head, don't scare them like that, come on everyone, say bye-bye to Buggy, he's never coming back to this village again. The Buggy pirates then proceeded to leave, but Buggy himself was thrown to his ship, but he was thrown a little too hard by Luffy and was sent into the atmosphere to everyone's disbelief. Village. Jesus, the stories weren't lying. Villager. He's already better than Buggy, that's for sure. Luffy. Guys. Zoro and Nami. Yeah, Luffy. Luffy. I think this calls for a celebration. Turns to the town folk, what do you guys think? Townspeople. Yeah. And so a huge party was thrown to celebrate the liberation of the Buggy pirates and Luffy's first legit territory. At Marineford. A tall, tanned, broad-chested, muscular old man. He had a beard and a scar over his left eye. This was Monkey D. Garp, the Fist, the hero of the Navy. He was eating cookies when a tall, fair-skinned and muscular man with a long braided goatee and a mustache walked into the room. This was Fleet Admiral Sengoku the Buddha. Sengoku. So your grandson started making his move. Garp. I told you it would happen, didn't I? Sengoku. One day you will have to admit that Straw Hat Luffy needs to be taken out. Garp. Laughs, that brat would kick both of our asses if we tried. The next morning we see Luffy, Zoro on their boat with Nami's on hers, leaving Orange Town with the citizens waving goodbye with the mayor having a large bag of money in his hands, though Luffy is worried about this happening again. Zoro. Don't worry Luffy, pirates around the world consider you to be a Yonkou, or at least on that level. Nami. And if word gets out that you were there then they wouldn't dare go near it. Luffy. Cheers up, well that's good to hear. Now there's one more place that I plan to go to before heading to Lobetown, and that's Syrup Village. Zoro. Why there of all places? Luffy. Well, one, there's a certain someone that I want to recruit, and two, we might be able to get a ship there because if I'm correct, a family friend of mine still lives there. Nami. Alright then, I guess we're setting a course to Syrup Village. Luffy. Full speed ahead. Luffy smiled at himself for finding both a swordsman and a navigator in days. Nami was a bit frightened when she saw King, but how many pirates can say that they have a pet sea king after a second meeting? King took a liking to her and showed his appreciation with a lick. He thought back to moment after he defeated Buggy with ease. After he sent the pirate clown flying, the mayor thanked them all for all they've done for liberating their village. Luffy asked Nami to join his crew again, to which she replied. Nami. I told you I hate pirates, but if I stick with you too, I can get more treasure. So we'll be partners for a common goal. But Luffy, being single-minded in some cases, took that as a yes. Nami was happy because of the treasure she swiped from Buggy. Luffy gave his share to the mayor so that the townspeople could rebuild, and the trio immediately set sail with the stolen Buggy dinghy and connected it with their own. Zoro was a bit skeptical of the navigator thief. She definitely had to keep a close eye on her or she would rob them blind. Speaking of which, Nami stood up and put on the best serious face she could muster. Nami. Listen up, if we're going to the Grand Line, we can't work with this miserable excuse for a boat. In short, we need a ship. Luffy peered ahead as he saw a land mass. Luffy. Agreed, which is why I'm way ahead of you. Nami. Huh. Luffy. Stands up. Welcome to Syrup Village everyone. Small time skip. Eventually, they reached the shallows of the island and settled their ships. King tossed over the reins as his master ordered him to stay submerged in the water. As Nami was docking the ship, she was too busy to notice the teen looming above her. Luffy. Hey. Nami. What? The thief jumped into the air and in a fur of rage bonked the pirate on the head. Nami. Don't scare me like that, you dumbus. Luffy rubs head. Sorry. Look, I know you kinda hate me right now, or at least feel neutral about me, but I say this with full honesty that I want you on my crew. Nami. And what makes you think that I want to even join your little crew? I told you I hate pirates. This is a partnership, no more, no less. Luffy. I can tell when someone has a desire for freedom, so this little act you're putting up is pretty much useless. I don't know why it's so important to you to get all this money, but I want to know. As long as you stay on my ship, you're family, so I'm going to treat you like family. You don't have to tell me right now, but I'm hoping I'm able to get you to trust me enough to tell me. As Luffy is talking, the orange-haired bandit was currently fighting a mental battle with herself on whether she should tell him the reason as well as her true dream. But with balled fists she ultimately decided not to. Nami. TCH, whatever. She then decided to walk further ahead of the Straw Hat Immortal. This gave Zoro the chance to start walking next to Luffy and ask him a question she's been meaning to ask since she met him. Zoro. Oi Luffy. Luffy. Yeah. Zoro. I've been meaning to ask you about that incident. Luffy. You want to know why I killed the celestial dragon? Zoro. Nods. Luffy. Looks up at the sky. What you need to know is that I have two brothers, one decided to set sail with a dream to know anything and everything about the world. Unfortunately, the day he set sail was on the same day a celestial dragon was visiting our island. His boat was destroyed and he died, so I decided to return the favor. He was only 8, Zoro, not even in the double digits yet. Nani's mind. How horrible, no wonder he became a pirate. Luffy. So I decided to return the favor tenfold. End of story. Zoro. And here everyone thought you did it for fun or you were just playing crazy. Luffy. Chuckles. Of course people would think that. Small time skip. As they examined the area, they were immediately on guard when they heard a rustling in the bushes along the cliff face. All of a sudden, small pirate flags emerged and small projectiles were fired against the sand near Luffy's feet, making him dance. Then out of nowhere, a young woman about Luffy's age appeared at an outcropping halfway down the cliff. Her bushy black hair was slightly tamed by a green cross-lined bandana. She wore brown overalls, yellowish boots, and had a bag slung over one shoulder. Her most prominent feature was her thin 3-inch nose. Let all pirates who come to my home beware of the great and powerful Captain Yusup of the Yusup Pirates, a fearless adventurer with an army at my disposal. Luffy laughed, he liked this girl. Nami, on the other hand, decided to end this nonsense. Nami. Smirks, you say, or is it just 3? 3 kids with vegetable-shaped hairstyles popped out of the bushes and ran, leaving their captain, who was now a nervous wreck, contrary to her brave act from before. Time skipped to the local restaurant. Yusup, so. You guys aren't here to ransack the town. Luffy was too busy eating to answer, so Zoro answered for him. Zoro. We're just here to see if we can get any good ships for sale. As soon as Luffy finished off a piece of meat, he spoke up. Luffy. You said your name was Yusup, right? Yusup. Nods. Luffy. Aren't you Yusup's kid? Yusup. Eyes widen. Why, you know my dad. Luffy. So you are the same Yusup he kept mentioning non-stop. You know, aside from the nose, you look a lot like him. Yusup looked proud and happy for a moment that his father would continue to mention her. Most pirates with bastard children couldn't care less whether they lived or died. Luffy. Of course, that was years ago when he stopped by my hometown in Fuchsia village. Hard to say where he is now. All of a sudden, the same vegetable-headed kids came bursting through the double doors, looking like they have just seen a ghost. "Captain, there's a guy out on the pathway," screamed the pepper-haired kid named Paimon. "He's got these weird tattoos and a scary face," shouted the carrot-haired kid named Ninjin. And he's floating," added the onion-haired kid with frames named Tamanegi. Yusup stared quizzically at the trio of veggies before heading out to find this floating man. Luffy trailed after them, while Nami and Zoro begrudgingly followed. As the teens followed the kids, they wondered what compelled them to tell such an obvious fib. However, when they got there, they were shocked, surprised, and amazed. Luffy was mostly amazed that they were actually telling the truth, for underneath a small but shady tree, the man was indeed there. He was a relatively tall man, reaching up to at least. He had long flowing blonde hair reaching down to the back. And just as the Veggie kids were pointing out, he had a medieval-styled cross at the base of the throat at the front of his neck and triangle symbols completely covering his eyebrows. His attire comprised of a long white coat with a ruffled neckline and sleeves, purple trousers, black gloves, pointed shoes, an armor-like armlet covering his shoulder and upper arm completely, and finally a light purple sash below the waistline, tying around a long sword with an intricate design resembling a voodoo doll. He had his eyes closed due to the fact that he was deep in meditation, which would explain why he was sitting cross-legged in midair. Luffy. Stars and eyes, wow, he's really floating. That outburst alone caused the man to open his eyes, revealing the sclera to be red. "Can I help you with something?" He spoke in a monotone voice with no emotion on his face. Luffy. "Hi, my name's Monkey D. Luffy, what's yours?" Basil Hawkins. Luffy took a moment to stare at him before speaking. "Luffy. Wanna join my crew?" Yusup and the Veggie kid's jaw dropped, while Zoro and Nami whacked him behind the head with angry eyes and shark teeth. Zoro and Nami. Don't just recruit people out of nowhere. Luffy rubbed the sore spot. "Why not, I can tell he's strong." Zoro. "We need to know more about this guy, not just his name." As the three argued, Hawkins was deep in thought. Though he didn't show it, but there was something that had been bothering him for the past hour, and at that time, he was already meditating. However, he felt something powerful land on the shores of the island itself that disrupted his mantra. And now, the source of that power came from this boy. Hawkins' mind. "I sense something emanating from him. His will is immensely strong, and his spirit is wild, but his mind is placid. And they are all in perfect harmony." He extended his hands, causing the bickering to cease, and tarot cards magically appeared out of his sleeve and ended up floating into a small circle. Hawkins' mind. Repercussions % probability of death. %. His eyes turned back to the pirates as his cards flew back into his sleeves. Hawkins, surprisingly, there are no factors that show my demise. So I accept your offer to join your crew. Everyone except Luffy. Hhhh. Luffy. Jumps in the air. Yosh, I have a fortune teller in my crew. Hawkins, I'm not a fortune teller, I'm a seer. I read the fates of others as well as the probability of outcomes. For example, points you with a long nose. Said long-nosed woman was currently cowering behind the three kids. Yusup, I am the almighty Captain Yusup. Zoro. He knows you're lying, Dumbus. Hawkins pulled out a single card and took a quick glance at it, then turned back to Yusup. Hawkins. You're going to discover a horrible secret about someone inconspicuous. The demon will unsheath its claws once again and attempt to take the life of someone precious to you. The long-nosed scaredy cat now looked a bit taken aback. Hawkins, but the shadow of death does not loom over anyone. Today. Nami. Skeptical look, I don't believe you can see into the future. Hawkins merely gave her a blank expression. Hawkins. I never said I could see into the future. I can only see premonitions of things to come, though within a limited range of a week. Zoro. Alright, but then what's with the card trick? Hawkins raised his arm slightly and pointed it at the swordsman. Instantly, Zoro was lifted off the ground and levitated into the air. Everyone around looked astonished, while the stars in Luffy's eyes grew. Zoro. What? Hawkins, I also have the power of telekinesis, but I can only lift objects and people no bigger than a sea king. That is my limit. Luffy. Awesome, now I'm really glad that you're on my crew. Meanwhile, the swordswoman was still airborne. Zoro, yeah, that's all well and good, now. Get me down from here. Just as Hawkins released his power, Zoro fell down to the ground with a thud. She dusted herself off and turned to face Yusup. Zoro. Look, do you know if we can buy a ship here? Yusup blinked before answering with a grin. Yusup, oh, that's right. You guys are looking for a ship. I know someone who can help with that. Yusup led the way to a huge gated mansion, the Veggie kids trailing behind her, as well as Luffy, Zoro, Nami, and the newest addition, Basil Hawkins, following closely behind them. But instead of heading through the front, Yusup showed a blind spot where they all could get through the fence without detection. Yusup climbed up a nearby tree close to the second-floor window and carefully positioned herself on a sturdy branch. She quickly searched her pockets and pulled out a couple of small rocks. She tossed them at the window, causing a clink until a shape opened the window. "Yusup, you're here." The soft, feminine voice called out from the windowsill. It was a thin, pale blonde girl with brown eyes wearing a simple white dress. Yusup grinned like an idiot. "Yusup. Hi Kaya, how are you feeling?" Kaya smiles, "I'm feeling better today, and your stories always put me in good spirits. Speaking of which, what story will you tell me today?" Yusup blushed a bit at the compliment. "Yusup. Before I tell you, I kinda need a favor from you." He gestured to Luffy and the gang down at the base of the tree. Now Kaya was an excellent judge of character, especially when it came to new people. She looked down from her windowsill to see the people below her. The one with the straw hat had a fire in his eyes, and the one with green hair and 3 swords may be intimidating, but had a calm nature about her as well. The red-haired girl had a confident aura around her, and the tall, blonde man. Unreadable. Still. Out of ain't bad. Kaya. Alright, Halt. An eloquent masculine voice cut her off. All heads turned in the direction of a man approaching, and it turned out to be a butler-looking type of guy. He had a relatively slim build with simple glasses and slick green-black hair, wearing a standard butler outfit with the exception of his oddly striped gray shoes. Luffy and Hawkins took note of his sharp eyes that showed an intimidating aura around him, while his facial expression contradicted that. "Please vacate the premises before I call the guards." He continued to speak in his usual condescending tone when dealing with strangers. "Kaya. Clahater, they're Yusup's friends, they just wanted." The butler cut her off again. "Clahater, I know exactly what they wanted. Your wealth. Forgive me, Ms. Kaya, but you're too trusting of these ruffians. They would sooner rob you blind when your back is turned." Bull Clahater Ban appeared and started talking with Luffy. Luffy's mind. "What do you think?" "Ban. I don't think he is as he makes himself out to be, and judging by his aura, the guy is bad news. I don't think we should trust a thing this prick says," smirks, "but I know you can handle this situation, you're my reincarnation after all." Luffy's mind. Smirks noted. The butler tilted his head up to face the frightened sniper. "Clahater, so, you're this Yusup that Ms. Kaya keeps mentioning." "Yusup. Puts on a brave facade, they call me." "Clahater, I know what the villagers call you. Yusup the liar, Yusup the nuisance. Shall I go on?" Kaya was about to interject when she noticed Yusup merely scratching her cheek as if the insult did nothing to him. "Yusup, heh. Did the villagers really call me that, or are you just making this up on the spot?" "Clahater. I fail to see the humor in you making the villagers' lives difficult enough with your constant ramblings of pirates invading." Yusup shrugged and raised a nonchalant eyebrow. "Yusup. You know, I get the feeling you don't like me." "Clahater. You constantly badger Ms. Kaya with your nonsense." The long-nosed sniper pretended to look hurt just to mock him. "Yusup, oh, that's cold. I bet if you really got to know me." Flashes a thumbs up and grins, "We could be buddies." Kaya giggled at the playful banter Yusup countered against Clahater's cynicism. The caretaker smirked as he adjusted his glasses with no use from his fingers. "Clahater, no thank you. I don't associate myself with bastard children of lowlife pirates." That struck a nerve in Yusup's core as her cheerfulness quickly dissipated and a flash of anger crossed her features. "Yusup, what did you say?" The tone of anger in her voice matching her said features. She quickly used a hook in her bag to latch onto the branch he was on as she descended safely to the ground. Kaya looked offended that her caretaker would insinuate such slander against Yusup. Clahater merely fixed a glare of disgust at Yusup. "Clahater. Why do you look so surprised your father abandoned you and your mother when you were but a child? And then once your mother died, you had no one to teach you to be civil or truthful. And finally, the reason why you always cry pirate is because you grasp onto this pathetic desire of your father actually returning, when in reality, you know it's merely just a sad desperation attempt at gaining attention." Yusup was like a bull seeing the color red, but the butler continued on. "Clahater, and it shows that you share some of his rat-like qualities, sneaking your way into Ms. Kaya's life, gaining her trust, then once you had accomplished that, you could take advantage of the ailing girl and swipe her wealth while she would turn a blind eye to your true nature, just like you are doing now if I had not arrived and stopped." Damn. They all saw it coming, even Kaya with a shocked look etched onto her face. Clahater was down on the ground clutching his sore cheek, but his glare was still fixated on Yusup. "Clahater. You see, he knows that I know the truth and lashed out at me in anger to keep my mouth shut. He shouldn't be allowed near you, Ms. Ka." "Yusup. Shut up." Yusup yelled back at the caretaker. Luffy and Hawkins took note of that small but noticeable flicker of power in his yell. "Yusup. You don't know shit about who my father is. You don't know shit about my mother, and you don't know shit about me. Hawkins' mind, he's tapping into this unknown power that Luffy has. Man. Holy shit Luffy, this kid has. Luffy's mind, haki. It's small, but I didn't think she would have a high enough ambition for someone like her. Smirks looks like she's more than just a coward after all. Yusup continued her tirade and even went as far as grabbing the butler by the scruff of his suit and threatening to punch him again if he insulted her father again. Kaya. Stop it, Yusup. It was because of her that Yusup didn't hit her caretaker, as she hated seeing her worry or cry more than anyone who would slander her family name. Yusup. I don't care if you insult me, Clahatter, but don't ever let me catch you talk about my father like he's some disease. He's a great man and pirate, and I'm proud as hell to be the daughter of that great pirate, and I hope to be a great adventurer like him and more. He finished yelling, and a silence filled the air. Then a single person was clapping. All heads turned to Luffy, who seemed to keep his monkey-like grin while applauding Yusup's assertiveness and ambition. Luffy. Well said, Yusup. But I wonder, do you have the guts to back up your words? The tall tale teller looked confused as to where Luffy was going with this. Luffy. Come on Yusup, join my crew. I already know that your sniper skills are just as good as Yusup's, and you just tapped into your haki. If you join us, you can live out your dream as true adventurer of the sea. Yusup. No. The teen said in finality. Ever since they left the estate, Luffy had been asking the long-nosed sniper to join his crew, to which every answer the Straw Hat Captain would get would be a no, no. When Luffy asked why, she just tossed a small smoke bomb and used that diversion to run away, leaving the Veggie kids and Luffy's crew. Zoro, that girl sure can run. Hawkins. She has mixed feelings about your offer, Captain. Nami. Are you sure you want her in your crew? Luff said nothing at first and then turned to the veggies. Luffy. Do you know where she went? Hyman. She probably went to the south cliffside, it's usually where she thinks about stuff. Luffy adjusted his hat and piece of weed in his mouth before heading off in the direction Yusup ran in. Luffy, you guys stay here. I'm gonna have a little chat with Yusup. Zoro. What are we supposed to do until then, inquired Zoro. Luffy, you guys are my nakama. Get to know each other. He replied with a grin before running off to find the sniper. Zoro and Nami sweat-dropped while Hawkins remained stoic. Luffy was definitely the most unpredictable person they had ever met. Thanks for watching this video. If you really enjoy this video, like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on that bell notification. Don't forget to support and follow our ADIODEMO and 264 for writing that awesome fanfic, and also make sure to comment on this story, link in the description. See you in the next video. Goodbye.